Hello, everybody. So, I'm going to be starting a new series on my channel called Critical Hit. And I'm basically going to debate with ChatGPT about various topics. Or I could do something else like doing some research or investigative stuff. But mainly, I wanted to start this series so I can debate with ChatGPT about various topics. And I'm basically going in these debates empty handed, meaning I don't have any sort of evidence or proof or anything or any source that I could list for whatever I say. It's basically just going to be for fun. And main thing I'm main thing I'm doing here is I'm just going to be using pure logic on ChatGPT. I'm going to try to challenge ChatGPT and its views about certain topics, depending on what stance I get on the debate. Okay, so here I have a wheel of names, and we're just going to spin this in order to get a topic. So we can just do that right now. Let me just see if everything is okay. Okay, it's okay. So let's start with the spinning the wheel. Okay, so our topic is going to be about wealth inequality. Okay, and my stance for this will be the anti side. Okay, hey ChatGPT, we're going to be arguing and debating about the topic of wealth inequality. Now, the gist is I don't have any sources for whatever I say. I'm just going to use my logic against you, and I hope that I can make a few good points. I'm going to take the anti side, you're going to take the pro side, okay? And we're not going to use any frameworks, we're not going to use any debate frameworks. We're just going to do a free form debate, sort of like a free form debate, okay? So, if you
Sure,
understand all of that,
freeform.
if you
I'll
understand
take the
all of
pro
that,
side. I do understand. Go ahead when you're ready with your anti argument.
no, I want you to start first because you're the pro side.
All right. Well, the pro side argues wealth inequality is a natural outgrowth of different choices, skills, and risk tolerances. When people are free to innovate, invest, or start businesses, unequal outcomes can reflect those differences. And if we dampen those rewards too heavily, we can slow growth and reduce incentives. And that can hurt everyone in the long run. Now, your turn.
So your argument is basically that wealth inequality is a natural outcome of
Mm-hmm.
of capitalism, basically.
In a way, yes. It's a natural outcome of differences in choices, risk, and innovation under a free system. The point isn't that it's morally ideal, just that inequality can emerge without anyone doing anything wrong. Rather, rather is people's freedom to make different economic decisions. And that can be a strength, in my opinion. What are you thinking?
Okay, so I'm going to be taking a sort of like economic economical standpoint. Okay, if you have wealth inequality in the economy, obviously some of the people, or a percentage of the people, are going to hoard a lot of the money. And if they're going to hoard a lot of the money, then the money is not circulating around the economy that well, meaning that economic growth will be stunted because of the people who are hoarding all the money.
Hmm, that's a fair push, but I'd point out wealth isn't automatically cash stuffed under a mattress. A lot of it is invested. Businesses, stocks, real estate, those investments can fund new factories, research startups, and jobs. So, why assume concentration necessarily means slowdown rather than more investment? And sure, if the wealthy invest productively, that could keep the economic engine humming. But tell me, why do you think it's stunting?
Well, it's mainly because if you, if okay, if the main point is that my main point is
Mm-hmm.
that if you hoard the money, okay, you hoard the money, it will not circulate around or distribute around people, around other people, and that's what could potentially cause the see the wealth inequality. But okay, you have a point in saying that
Mm-hmm.
in saying that these people are not necessarily hoarding it under their mattresses, okay? But they're investing them, okay? So how does them investing that money to other businesses and other stocks, okay, help the other people who are not financially who are not as financially free as them or as financially inclined as them? I think you're making an argument of that because you're investing that because rich people, the wealthy people, are investing the money, means that they're not necessarily stunting the growth of the economy, but the the question would be, what is the benefit of the people? Okay, what is the benefit of the average person who doesn't have all that money and who doesn't own any of these businesses, who doesn't have a share of any of these businesses, who doesn't work for any of them? What is the benefit of that person?
Hmm. Good refinement. I'd say the benefit isn't always direct, but it can still be real. If someone invests, say, 100 million into a factory, nearby workers, suppliers, and small businesses can benefit. Even people who don't work for that company can gain through lower prices or a generally stronger economy. But you do have a point. If the gains are reaching enough people, then maybe the critique is really about distribution, not growth itself. Do you think it's more that inequality blocks growth or that it divides the gains unevenly?
I think it's both, because if you're going to have a person, okay, we live in a capitalistic society, okay. If you're going to have a person who hoards all of the money, how are they going to distribute it, say, the economy, okay? That's my point earlier. And you're saying that it doesn't necessarily have to be stunted. The people who hoard all this, who have all this money, invest it back into companies, into stock, whatever. But the people, okay, the people may benefit from that, but not directly. not directly to their financial gains. Okay, they're they're benefiting from it indirectly, which why should they benefit indirectly when money when they have all that money that they can just equally distribute to other people, and that the majority of the problems can be solved through that. There doesn't need to be a sort of a middleman uh that is distributing the greater goods from them investing the money. Okay, from them investing the money from to the companies and stocks. Okay, so you said that you're asking me if inequality stunts growth, blocks growth, and or is more of a problem? Is it more of a problem of distribution? I think it's both. Okay, you can't have you can't have growth. You can't have economical growth if the standard, if the average person is not inclining with their average with their for example this average salary rates. You can't have a general you can't generalize economical growth if the average person who is living on the streets, okay, they don't have the financial income. They don't have the income or the financial freedom in order to buy the same things that other people are buying.
That's probably your strongest point. But I don't think direct redistribution is always more beneficial than investment.
Why is that?
What if, well, because investment can create long term capacity, more productivity, new industries. Direct redistribution helps now, but it can risk future growth if it discourages investment. So the question becomes, what's the right balance? Enough equality so people share in the gains, but enough incentive to keep innovation alive. How would you strike that balance? Or do you think growth is less urgent than fairness?
Well, first of all, you have a good point in saying that growth, okay, that economical growth, basically just relies on let's say companies incentivizing their people, okay, and they and that the companies have to reinvest their money, and that's the way that the growth happens. That's the way people gain from it. But okay, but why can't the banks just just why can't the banks just create new money, okay, and then distribute equally towards other people, okay? Why do they have to why is there okay, now we're getting really deep into this. We're no, really getting deep into this. So the problem is, okay, the problem is society needs to have jobs, okay? This society needs to have jobs in order to function, and those jobs incentivizes the workers to do their job properly by giving them money. Okay, I understand that, but okay, let's propose a new scenario. Okay, what if you still need to do that. You could still do that, but all people inherently have the Hold on, let me just circle back to my previous argument, okay? I was paused because I was interrupted, but what I was saying is that I'm proposing that other people, okay, that all of us could still have a job, okay? We could still have a job in order to have in order to have an income. But I think that inherently we should all have we should have a uh baseline income uh that the governments are giving us, that the government should be giving us, okay? We think I think we should have a baseline income that the government should inherently be giving us in order for us to live. Because if we because if we but I get your point. Okay? But I get your point about inflation happening. Necessarily, you have to have a lower amount of people buying a certain amount of the things so that the prices are are lower. Okay, but my
Mhm.
argument is that all of us should have a baseline amount of income without having to work a job, because because money, okay, money is needed for us to live. Money is needed for us to just eat, okay, to just have clean drinking water. And for people to be prohibited that because of the need to have a job, okay, for and and some and people, okay, may not always have the qualifications and the necessary skills in order to have those jobs, or the job positions themselves being insufficient. Some people are just left to live in the streets and scour for food.
Battery is full.
And,
Unplug now.
and scour for food in the trash cans. Do you think that is necessarily humane? Do you think that just because the people will have the money, okay, just because the people who have a lot of money just reinvest it back to the companies, and that indirectly benefits the greater good of society, doesn't means that the treatment, okay, the treatment of the person who has zero money, who has absolutely no income, okay, the treatment of that is humane and justified because of the greater good the society gains. No, I think all of us should have an equal level amount, equal baseline amount, okay, and I think that it should be upon us in order to, and I think it should be upon us, or it could be our responsibility to, okay, increase that income. But there shouldn't be this sort of like this huge disparity wherein a person has zero income and then this person has like what is making millions a year. Okay.
Hmm. That's probably your strongest moral argument. Ethically, I agree no one should lack basics like food or water. But economically, a universal baseline income isn't the only way to ensure that. Targeted support can reduce poverty more efficiently. And the gap itself isn't always the main problem. The real concern is ensuring dignity while keeping incentives healthy. Would you still object if poverty were eliminated, even if some people still became very wealthy?
I think no. I wouldn't object to that. I actually would agree to it because the whole reason, okay, the whole reason I'm arguing against wealth inequality is because of poverty. Okay. And if you're saying that targeted support for the people who are impoverished or marginalized financially, okay, could help it better than having a universal baseline income. But okay, my point is, even if you target the support, okay, even if you target support, how are you going to reach millions upon millions of people who are homeless, who are lacking basic shelter, basic food, food, water, okay, what clean drinking water? How are you going to target all of those? There is still going to be some who are left behind from that tactic, from that strategy. Okay, so how do you how do you propose we how do you propose we optimize that? Okay, how do you propose we optimize that strategy in order for every single human being on this earth? to be able to have those basic requirements in order to live.
Hmm. I think we've narrowed it down. If your stance is, I don't object to people becoming wealthy as long as no one is left in extreme poverty, then we're closer than it seems. I'd opt for a mix: basic safety net, targeted help, strong education and jobs programs, and incentives for investment.
Can you elaborate on those points? Can you elaborate on those points where you just stated those 3 points? Can you elaborate on those and how you think those should be strategized and executed?
Sure, one sec. Right. First, a basic safety net. Make sure nobody falls below the minimum standard of living. So, things like emergency food aid, affordable housing, and basic healthcare. Streamlined access, minimal red tape.
What about the others?
Education and job training. Invest in quality public education, vocational training, apprenticeships, and affordable higher education pathways so people can grow their income potential, not just receive short term aid. And encouraging investment and job creation. Support businesses that create employment opportunities. But that balance is tricky, and some people will still fall through the cracks. The question is how to minimize that without undermining the system that funds those programs. I know that doesn't guarantee every single person is reached, but no system really can. That's why I focus on reducing poverty as the primary objective while preserving enough incentive to sustain investment and innovation. It's not perfect, but maybe the goal is a workable balance rather than a flawless system.
That's a really good point. I think the very the very essence of your point is just minimizing poverty. Okay, not absolutely eliminating poverty. I like the way that you propose the first solution to minimizing wealth inequality by giving people basic safety nets. Okay, giving them emergency food aid, giving them giving them affordable housing. I think that is great. Um, but okay, but there is still a flaw, and the flaw is, as you said, people will still fall through the cracks. So inherently, okay, we need
Mhm.
to we need to switch our goalposts a little bit. What should we do? What do you think we should do in order to eliminate wealth inequality uh, as a whole? Like, absolutely eliminate wealth inequality without just proposing minimalizing poverty. Okay, I don't mind you getting a little bit unrealistic. I just want to give your own viewpoint on how you think how you could do that.
Hmm. Fascinating thought experiment. If we mean absolutely eliminate inequality, I'd argue it's probably impossible without curtailing personal freedom. You'd need to constantly reset people's wealth, which gets into controlling and maybe over controlling choices. So, if perfect equality means banning inheritance, capping personal wealth, and redistributing earnings every year, would you accept those restrictions on individual freedom? Or is there a point where you would rather preserve liberty than eliminate inequality?
Well, personally, and I mean to play devil's advocate here. I think that would work. I really think that would work.
Hmm.
I think preserving liberty, preserving the right to have your own have as much source of income. How just no 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 no. Let me rephrase that. I think having the freedom to have any amount, okay, any amount of financial income, okay, is is a basic right to any person. And I don't think that the government should be capping or limiting or resetting our money. Okay, our, but you make a really good point with that. I would say that this debate is was well executed. I think you made me understand a little bit on a lot of the factors that are involved in trying to solve a problem of this caliber. But I would just like to say that from a moral standpoint, okay, I think that I still think that the average person or the homeless people on the street should have basic their basic needs met, just like food, clean drinking water, and houses. Okay, but I'm going to concede that I don't really have a good strategy on how to solve that increasing inflation, without potentially without potentially limiting jobs as an incentive. Okay, as an incentive to gain money. Okay, so that'll be just about it. Okay.
That's fair. I don't claim a perfect blueprint exists. Trade offs are inevitable. But aiming for a floor where basics are secure and opportunities still exist might be the most workable, humane route, even if it's imperfect. But it sounds like our main difference is how much freedom versus how much enforced equality we value. That's the heart of it, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think we should strike a balance between between trying to have equality and at the same time trying to have opportunities and jobs. Okay, trying to have equality and trying to have the same opportunities as having the same purchase power as the wealthy people. Okay, but I think enforcing equality through capping other people's other people's income is is a little bit over the top, you know. But I think targeted support towards impoverished people are is more efficient in the long run. You know, it's more effective in the long run. So I can see to your previous point. Thank you for debating with me. You know, you made really good points. You made really good points. I just have to say that that's the end. That'll be the end for today's debate. You win, Jay. You win. Congrats, ChatGPT.
Well, thank you. I don't really see it as winning, but I did enjoy this debate. You sharpened your stance as we went, and that's kind of the point, right? Testing ideas, conceding when it makes sense, and refining the argument. They talking about round two on a different topic. I'm here.
Okay, so that'll be it for today's episode of Critical Hits. I'm going to be posting a lot more of this, because there's a lot of topics right here. You could see, okay, you can see there are 106 topics that I can debate about with ChatGPT, and that was a really good debate. I think some of the points that I made, ChatGPT effectively countered. I think that ChatGPT kind of made me broaden my worldview a little bit, because there are a lot of factors that influence wealth and inequality, and for me to assume that a one size fits all solution that I proposed earlier could work is a little bit how do I say this? It's a little bit ineffective, for lack of a better word, but that'll be just about it. Thank you. Please subscribe to my channel.